This segment of Naperville Sports Weekly is brought to you in part by the Naperville Sun.
Mike Kennedy, boys track and field coach here at Neuqua Valley. The first thing you notice when we look around is we're not in a traditional track and field facility. I know you guys kind of bounce all throughout the school towards the indoor season. What's that like kind of with these athletes kind of adjusting to a different setting every day as we move through the indoor season?
That's tough sometimes. I have to say my coaches are really flexible and creative people, and we have to be. We try to make the best of our situation. You know, there's no indoor track here. We try to be creative with the gym space that we get, and we try to be creative with some of the hallway space. We're actually lucky in some ways that the hallways are the shape they are here at Neuqua Valley because they're nice big long U's, and we can get some decent running in that way. We've almost created our own little track with our own little flow pattern up there so that we're not bumping into each other.
Do you think that kind of maybe helps you guys as a coaching staff to, test your kind of creative juices, trying to come up with some different things and figure out a way to adapt a practice plan to keep things interesting for these guys?
I will say, if anything, we are very flexible. We know what we can do, but we've also found some creative means to do those things, and so we've come up with some new and interesting strategies toward teaching an event or trying to train athletes to go faster, get stronger. We've done that because we knew our limitations and we tried to work around them.
And the thing that at least jumps out at me about that is, 8 indoor UEC titles in the last 9 years with no indoor track facility. How is that much, is that a testament to your guys' work ethic and how much they've put in to be able to achieve something like that?
Well, I will say that one of the things that we really value in this program is work ethic. We put that as one of the top ideals for ourselves because we know that if the guys aren't going to work, nothing else is going to happen. We've seen so many athletes who maybe have had somewhat marginal talent do phenomenal things for us because they put the work in. And if they put the work in, the good things are going to happen. And that's what they do. These guys, they're not really so much bothered by maybe the lack of facilities or some of those things. They get out and they work hard and they really follow direction well. And that culture really stems down from our seniors down to the rest of the team. These young guys see what the seniors have become. They know they didn't come out of a box like that. And they want to be like them. And they know if they do those things we ask, they know they'll have a chance to do it.
So how much of an adjustment are those first two, three couple meet days where your guys are coming out of the blocks for the first time on spikes, jumping into sand for the first time? How much of an adjustment is that for these guys?
It's an adjustment, but we treat it that way. I'll call the first couple meets practices with uniforms, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. It's no pressure. Just go out there, get your feet wet. For our jumpers, many times we'll just tell them, hey, get your jumps in. I don't care if you have a great jump, but don't foul any jumps because that's your only chance you're going to get to practice in that area. Our hurdlers have some of the same restrictions. So what we would do is say, hey, treat that hurdle meet like it's a big practice. And that takes a little bit of pressure off them and lets them learn while they're actually doing a track meet.
Well, you talk about practice with the uniforms. You guys at Morton a couple weeks ago, and a couple big performances even in that kind of atmosphere. Matt Hughes on the high jump, Jacob Bender in the 600 meters. A couple guys really putting up some big numbers here really, really early.
And that's because these guys stayed in shape. They worked really hard in the off season. They made sure that they were in shape when the season came around so that we could do some of those things. We could build off of what they did in the off season. And that's one of the things that also culturally has changed with us. In the first few years of the program, the guys weren't sure about how to take it seriously. Now they understand that what they need to do is train. They need to make sure they're taking their training seriously. And when we're not there, they need to make sure they're taking care of it themselves.
And Jacob's a guy that we've kind of seen over the past couple of years as far as, doing big things at track meets, putting up the times. But now that he's a senior, what are some things that maybe he's doing here in practice, maybe behind the scenes that necessarily we don't see on meet days?
I'll tell you what, he is a leader for us. That's the number one thing. Mm-hmm. We're lucky. We're lucky with some of the guys we have. We have Mark Derrick, Taylor Schultes at the distance level. Great leaders there. You're talking about Jacob Bender, Eric Matoyer, great leaders there. Over at the throws, we have Zach McKibben and Carlos Varela, big leaders there. Our jumps guys are some of our sprint guys emerging into that leadership position because some of them are a little young. But you see that we've able to list off a whole bunch of kids who those are leaders, and they help us. they set the tone for what needs to be done. If you see a Jacob Bender, Mark Derrick, Taylor Soltis, Carlos, you see Zach, you see them working hard in practice as some of your top athletes, that sets the tone for everybody else as to what they have to do.
And you mentioned a whole lot of disciplines. Obviously, that's the sport of track and field.
That is.
All the many different things. For you as a coach, how difficult is it, I guess, or what exactly do you have to do to kind of manage so many different types of athletes? And not only that, but the numbers that you guys have are pretty ginormous as well.
Right. I mean, we were a cut sport at Neuqua. I think that's pretty unusual for track and field. I mean, if we had unlimited space, we have unlimited numbers, but that's not the case. And what we really try to do is try to be selective in some of the specialty events, really let some guys hone in on that so we can actually get some coaching time with them. We try to make sure that everyone develops speed, whether it's a distance runner, sprinter, jumper, you name it. We want to make sure that they all develop speed so that translates between them. The throwers are nice. They have their own little world, and you can see it right back there that they have with Coach Ricka. But with the rest of the team, we're really trying to make sure that they're versatile athletes. And once we have that, once we get them fit, and once we get them trained well and fast, a lot of other things like the jumps and the hurdles and stuff, that happens. And that happens just from having a general fitness that we focus on in the indoor season.
Definitely. Well, this time last year, you weren't here. You were in Washington, D.C., working
Right.
with the Department of Energy. What was that experience like for you in that fellowship program?
It was an amazing experience. It was the best professional experience of my life. I got to grow as a teacher, even while I wasn't teaching. I got to understand how education in this country works. And it was a privilege to do that. And I got to work with 31 other individuals who had great minds about math and science education. And really, I got to have my voice heard within some of the upper echelons of government as to how I thought math and science education should be. But I'll tell you, the number one thing I missed was being here and coaching.
Definitely. And we were talking about that a little bit earlier, and you were saying, there was so much of it that you could apply to back in the classroom, during the day between 7 and 3. Was there some stuff that you could kind of take from that into this arena as well, into the coaching track and field?
The number one thing I think was to put things into perspective. These athletes, they're someone else's children. They're important in so many respects. And I think one of the things that we've always focused on was relationships. But I realized when I was gone that was even more critical than I had thought. And so really concentrating on getting relationships with these athletes and getting them to trust you in the whole experience that they're about to go forward with, I think that was what I thought was the most important thing that I was able to bring back in some sense, even though it was something we already did. It underscored the importance of having a relationship where athletes trust you and you trust them, and we're all in this together.
For sure, and we were kind of, talking about some of the guys that have made some noise early with their times and distances. Who are a couple guys that maybe we haven't heard too many things about yet, but probably you look forward to be making some strides here later in the indoor season, early outdoor season?
There's going to be, a whole bunch. If you look, we just had 2 pole vaulters, Chad Prescher and Andrew Peterson. They're emerging as those jumps leaders, and they're just off state qualifying on indoor meets. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You take a look at a guy like Emery Barnes, for instance, who just put up some really great numbers in the long jump. Like Dennis Thoreau, who just put up great numbers in the long jump. You look at a new guy on our team, who is Joseph Eunice. He just moved here from Jordan, and he's already run 6.3 in the 55-meter dash. These guys are going to be coming out of nowhere, but I think what you'll really start to see is our relays will start to fill out with the rest of them.
Okay.
I think you're going to see that we have a number of guys who are really going to rise to the occasion when we start putting them in really competitive meets like we'll do this Saturday at Proviso.
Yeah, you beat me to it just a little bit there. Proviso West this weekend, a lot of very good competition, for an indoor meet this time of year. What are you kind of expecting out of your guys? What performances are you looking forward to?
Really, all we're trying to do is build off what we've done. We really keep our focus at the end of the season. We want outdoor conference, sectionals, and state to be the pinnacle of what we do. I find it's hard that if you try to get up for too many meets, you don't have anything left at the end. So we're just going to look at this as a building block. It'll be a chance to go against great competition. There's great schools that compete at Proviso West. We're going to try to go on a good track. Proviso West is a nice track, and see what happens. So we look at the lessons we built within our tryout, within our Morton meet, Downers Grove South, and now we see, is it time to take the next step? And usually what happens is when those factors that I just listed combine, we take a pretty big step.
Definitely. Well, Coach, there's a lot going on here. We're going to let you get back to
All
it.
right.
Thanks for letting us come by, and good luck this Saturday.
No, thank you.